Hi everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Coach's Corner, proudly brought to you by Lucerne Investment Partners and Eikon Financial. This week's guest made her debut with the Tall Ferns in 2013 at the ripe old age of 17. She's a St Mary's graduate and in 2018 was awarded their Female Athlete of the Year, along with New Zealand Basketballer of the Year the following year in 2019. And in my mind, she's one of the most improved players from the 2019-2020 WNBL season. Welcome, Miss Stella Beck. Hey Stell, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. So let's start with, because we're all missing you. Unfortunately, you're not in Melbourne yet with us. Tell us firstly where you are right now.
I'm currently in Sydney. I'm on day 3 of my 14-day managed isolation. So I'm in a hotel. I've got a really lovely view over Darling Harbour, so I can't really complain.
You have been very, very busy. So tell us what you've been up to over the last few months.
Yeah, I've been busy in a sense. I've been having quite a lot of fun. You know, I've been basically living in New Zealand. So a lot of the time I've been travelling back home and I haven't really spent much time there. But this year I've got to spend almost 6 months there. I've done a lot of travelling of my own country, of my backyard. Done a couple of tramps. So we went down to Stewart Island and did a bit of a 1-week trip and a 4-day tramp down there. Since we had some snow on the mountain, so I've been skiing a few times. I've been hanging out with my family and my friends. My dad has a sparkling water company called Skinny Fizz, which is in New Zealand, and I do some work for him on the side, a bit of part-time marketing and stuff like that. So it's been awesome learning all about the kind of corporate or business side of things.
So it sounds like you've actually really enjoyed the downtime. So whilst it's been forced, has it been really nice for you to have a bit of a break?
Yeah, it's been really nice. I think it's taken me to have some time off to realise that I actually haven't had time off basketball in years and years and years. So I think in some ways it's, you miss basketball obviously, and I'm really keen to get back into it and be playing and be around a team again. But it makes you think about, other parts of your life that you've really missed.
And I know you're someone that loves to try new things. Someone told me you are learning the harmonica.
Yeah, well, that was just yesterday because I got okay. Lockdown. So, that was about an hour and a half of my day to kill. So that was pretty fun.
So that is a really new thing as of yesterday. Okay.
Really, but maybe 13 or day 14. You wait. I'll be a pro.
Now you mentioned before you have loved spending some extra time with family and friends. Now, this whole interview is about the Boomer fans getting to know you more. Tell us about your family. Tell us a little bit of history.
Both my parents and my mum's side of the family live in New Zealand. So my dad's from America. He grew up in Maryland. And so half my family is in the States, across Baltimore and DC. And then the other half of my family is in New Zealand. When I was at home, I was living with my mum and my dad, and then for COVID lockdown and all that, my little brother was home as well. So both my brothers live in Wellington, which is in New Zealand. My little brother was home with me for a while, so he was kind of like my flatmate, which was fun. My cousins and stuff live about, maybe 400 metres down the road from me, so that's really nice. They're really close. I spent a lot of time with them because all of them were home in Wellington as well.
How have you personally kept fit?
I tend to run a lot in the off season, so I've done a lot more kind of up hills and in the bush and on tracks and stuff. Lucky for us though in New Zealand, we haven't been in too high level constrictions for COVID, so I've been able to train for the last few months, and I go in most mornings with 2 guys, usually Dion Presta and James Cawthorne is usually there as well, and I do workouts with them. So they were really nice and they let me tag along and join in every morning. So that's been really, really, really good for me, I think. And being able to get on the court is just like something I am so thankful for, because not everyone has that opportunity.
I believe you guys had a Tall Ferns camp recently. I know Guy was really disappointed that he couldn't get over for it, but how was it getting all the girls together, and what's the plan for New Zealand moving forward over the next few months?
Yeah, we did. We had a week-long camp kind of end of July, start of August, and an exhibition game at the end of that. So that was awesome. We had a lot of really high caliber, quite young athletes in that camp, because it was only the girls that were in New Zealand that could come. So a lot of the talent that was there were girls that were going off to college this year or, in uni kind of ages. Me and Panina were kind of the veterans at such a young age, which was quite funny.
Now, I know you're still a very young athlete. You've got a long, prosperous career ahead of you if you want that. But you've been in that Tall Fern program since you were 17 years old. I mentioned that in the introduction, which is a phenomenal achievement. How has it been being involved in a national program for that long? You would have seen a few different coaches, a few different ways, and you've been through some wonderful achievements and then some challenges along the way. What does that program mean to you?
I hold that program very dear to my heart. It's like one of the things I look forward to most every single year. Like you said, 2013 I debuted with Kalani and Panina, who are now on the Boomers team, obviously. Tony's also there, who we play with. But on top of that, it's such a privilege and such an awesome experience to compete at that level, and it's something you work towards for years and years and years and years. And now to feel like I've been doing it for years is quite bizarre, but it's awesome. We're really lucky.
You mentioned your dad is over in the States, and you actually pursued the college avenue for yourself and went over to St Mary's, which is a fabulous college. Tell us what the college experience was like for you personally.
Yeah, I loved going over to the US for college. I think I was lucky with my experience. I really loved my coaches. I got along with them really well. I really loved my teammates. Some of them are my best friends now, and the girls that I lived with when I was there. The basketball, I think 4 years in a college environment was really important for my game. Like, it developed my shot a lot from something that wasn't really much to, being kind of a more confident shooter. Because you work with the same coaches, well, I did anyway, for 4 years. And I think you develop quite an intimate kind of relationship with them where you get to know them really well. So you're able to hone in on things and get better across a long period of time. And then you play against the same colleges for 4 years straight. So you are really exposed and you have no choice but to improve. So the basketball side of it was really, really huge for my development.
So WNBL season coming up. Obviously, you're in Sydney now, and we're desperate to get you back in Melbourne with us. And then it's looking like we're going to a hub situation, a shortened season with no imports. How are you feeling about the upcoming WNBL season?
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, I think it's great that we can play, and I think that everyone's kind of itching to know more so that we can get more excited. But, once it's all officially announced, I think everyone's going to be really wrapped, and I certainly am going to be really excited.
And how do you think the Boomers are looking this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kept in good contact, and we've kind of made the most of what we can out of this situation. And I think we've got a core that came back from last year, and if last year's anything to go off, then we know it's going to be heaps of fun, and we're going to really enjoy our time together, and we're going to be a really, really good side. And
I mentioned in the introduction that I feel like you were one of the most standout improved players last season. What are your goals for the next few months for yourself personally with your game?
Last year I made kind of that transition, or somewhat of a transition, from a 2-3, and I then migrated into a bit of a 1, and I played that predominantly for the end of the season. And I think this year I kind of have to wrap my head around the fact that I'll be, instead of splitting it half and half, I'll probably just be playing a 1. So a lot of it has to do with getting my confidence up to do that all the time, and that involves getting used to everyone and working on my handle and making sure I'm just feeling good to do that. You are still very early on in your career, and you've been able to experience and achieve a lot. What are your standout highlights, memories so far? Playing in the WNBL is definitely a highlight of mine. I think playing professionally, I wasn't always sure that I would do it, and getting the chance to do it is quite an achievement and something I worked towards for a long time. Playing for the Tall Ferns, it's always a pleasure. We get to play against some amazing teams and sides, some elite programs, and you learn so much just from seconds on the court, really. So those are massive standouts every year. Last year was the first time I got to work with you personally, and I absolutely loved working with you. I find you to be the utmost professional. You're obviously always the first to read the scout, the first to ask questions. The way you apply yourself at training is exactly what you do at a game. Where do you think you get that really hard-nosed work ethic from? A long time ago, I remember someone told me about being an international learner, where you have to kind of learn quickly, otherwise you fall behind. And I think that learning is something I've always taken very seriously, and I really like to learn, whether it's basketball or whether it's school or whether it's just a hobby like the harmonica or whatever. I like learning things. So I think I take learning things really seriously, and I think that really helps me on the basketball court and probably in the weight room and probably when I'm running as well.
And for all the younger Boomer fans that are watching this and appreciate how hard you work, like I've just mentioned, looking back at a younger Stell, and I know you're still only 24, almost 25, but what advice would you give yourself back at the start of your career to now?
I think when you're younger, your improvement rate is so much quicker than when you're older. But I also think you naturally have these more nervous tendencies, or more kind of shy, or a bit more scared to make mistakes. But when you're younger, that's the time to make mistakes. It's the best time to screw up, because you learn the best and you improve the best and you improve the quickest. So I would say make as many mistakes just because you're trying something new as you can when you're younger.
Nickname?
Del.
Favourite saying or word?
I love the word haberdashery.
Outside of basketball, what is your favourite thing to do?
Go for walks or hikes.
Outside of basketball, your other favourite sport?
Tennis.
And our favourite board game?
Sequence.
Something quirky we don't know about Stella.
I have a fake tooth.
Do you play any musical instruments?
I can play the very start of Piano Man on a harmonica.
Any others?
I played the piano when I was younger, so I can read music but not really play anymore.
Any injuries during your career?
Yeah, I've lost my tooth. I have had a stress fracture in my right foot, and I've had a couple of concussions.
If you could invite any one guest to dinner, who would it be and why?
David Attenborough. I just would love to chat.
Favourite movie?
Stand By Me.
Favourite food?
Mangoes or cheese.
If you had to choose between mangoes or cheese?
I'd probably stick with mango.
Biggest pet peeve?
I hate when people sniff and are snotty and really close to you. Timely as well. No, it's not. It's earwax. I hate earwax. Ugh, I can't even talk about it. Quick next.
Oh, funny. Favourite emoji?
I probably use the laughing face the most.
Celebrity crush?
I think my biggest, probably Heath Ledger.
What's next on your list of things you want to try?
Oh, I'd really love to learn how to play bridge. I've just kind of learned how to play, in the last 2 years I've learned how to play 500, so I'd like to learn how to play bridge.
What's the best gift you've ever been given?
For my 21st birthday, I got a pair of binoculars, and I use them all the time.
Do you have them now?
Yeah, they're so good. Good for the view that I've got.
What degree did you study while you're at college?
I got a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Behavioural Neuroscience.
Stella, it's always great chatting with you. Take care up there in Sydney, and we can't wait to have you in Melbourne with us in 10 or 11 days.
Thanks so much, Riss. I can't wait to be back.
Well, that's another edition of Coach's Corner. Don't forget to follow the Boomers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn and YouTube for all latest news. Hope you're all getting to enjoy this beautiful weather. Stay well, be kind. See you next week.